Part 1. The Leadership Paradigm Shift. Why Safety Matters. You know, I used to think leadership was about being in charge, about having all the answers, giving the orders, sitting at the top of the pyramid. But Leaders E.D.S.O changed that. Simon Sinek doesn't just talk about leadership, he redefines it. And it all begins with a story. Imagine this. A fighter jet slicing through the sky over Afghanistan. The pilot's call sign? Johnny Bravo. He's flying high, but something catches his eye. Soldiers trapped below, pinned down by enemy fire. No cover. No way out. Johnny Bravo doesn't wait for orders. He dives. Low. Again and again, drawing fire away from his team on the ground. He risks his life, so others might live. He didn't do it for a medal. He didn't do it for applause. He did it because real leaders protect their people. Simon Sinek writes, "Leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge." And that changes everything. Leadership, he says, isn't about status. It's about creating safety, emotional safety, psychological safety. The kind of safety that says, you belong. I've got your back. In ancient times, we survived by sticking together. Inside the tribe, inside the circle. Outside that circle, predators, uncertainty, death. And today, the dangers are different, but no less real. We're not running from lions, but we are running from layoffs, toxic bosses, social exclusion, burnout, and fear. When people feel exposed, they stop collaborating. They stop taking risks. They protect themselves, even if it hurts the team. That's why the most effective leaders build what Sinek calls a circle of safety. A place where people can speak up without fear. A place where teammates protect one another. A place where trust replaces politics. And here's the catch. It starts at the top. If leaders create fear, people look out for themselves. But if leaders create safety, people look out for each other. Because when I know you've got my back, I'll give you my best. That's the shift Leaders E.D.S.O is asking us to make. From control to care. From hierarchy to humanity. From me first to after you. And maybe, just maybe, when the moment comes, we'll all have the courage to lead like Johnny Bravo. Not because we were told to, but because it's what leaders do. You're listening to the Leadership Code. Stay tuned for Part 2. The Chemistry of Leadership, where we explore how your brain's own chemicals shape the way you lead. Part 2. The Chemistry of Leadership. E.D.S.O and Cortisol. Why do some leaders inspire fierce loyalty, while others struggle to earn trust, even with all the right systems in place? Simon Sinek says the answer isn't just in our strategies. It's in our biology. Yes, leadership is emotional, but it's also chemical. There are 4 powerful chemicals that shape how we think, feel, and behave, especially in groups. Together, they form what Sinek calls the E.D.S.O system. Let's take a closer look. First up, endorphins. They're the body's natural painkillers. Ever gone for a long run, pushed through a tough workout, or laughed so hard it hurt? That's endorphins at work. They give us grit, the ability to endure. In leadership, endorphins help us push through late nights, difficult projects, and uphill climbs. But they're not enough on their own. Next is dopamine, the goal achiever. Dopamine gives us that hit of satisfaction when we check a box, win an award, or close a deal. It's highly addictive. It fuels ambition. It's what keeps us moving forward. But here's the danger, and Sinek warns. Too much dopamine is like too much sugar. It feels good in the moment, but over time, it leaves us empty. When we chase numbers, profits, or promotions at the expense of people, dopamine becomes toxic, and the team starts to crumble. Now we meet serotonin, the pride chemical. It's the feeling you get when someone looks up to you, When your team claps as you take the stage, or when a student says, "You changed my life." Serotonin makes us feel respected, honored, valued. For leaders, serotonin reinforces status earned through service. Not ego, not fear, but integrity. It's the reason why mentorship, appreciation, and shared success feel so good. Finally, we arrive at the glue. Oxytocin, the connection chemical. Oxytocin is released through trust, through acts of kindness. A hug, a smile, a genuine, "How are you?" That means something. It's what bonds parent to child, friend to friend, and leader to follower. Oxytocin is the reason we feel safe when someone says, "I've got you." It's slow to build, but once it's there, it makes teams unstoppable. But there's a fifth chemical in this story, one we must be careful of. Cortisol, the stress hormone. When we feel threatened or isolated, cortisol floods our system. It shuts down trust. It spikes anxiety. And worst of all, it's contagious. In workplaces full of fear, cortisol becomes the dominant force. People stop helping, stop sharing. They protect themselves. They hide mistakes. So what's the leader's job? To create the conditions that reduce cortisol and amplify E.D.S.O. Not by manipulating people, but by designing cultures that honor humanity. Celebrate effort, not just outcomes. Recognize contributions. Offer real praise. Listen without rushing. Invest time, not just resources. Because when we lead with biology in mind, we create teams that are healthier, stronger, and more human. We're not just managing numbers. We're managing chemicals. We're not just building systems. We're building people. And when we get the chemistry right, everything else follows. Thanks for listening. If you're finding value in this audiobook summary, please consider subscribing to the Leadership Code, where we help you lead with purpose and live with gratitude. Coming up next in Part 3, we explore how leaders create contagious cultures, for better or worse. Part 3, the environment leaders create. Culture is contagious. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the energy, tense, heavy, guarded? No one said anything, but you just knew. This isn't a safe place. That's culture. Simon Sinek makes it clear. Leaders are not only responsible for results, they are the architects of culture. And culture, whether we admit it or not, is contagious. Let me tell you a story. There's a company called NextJump in New York. It's a tech firm, but what makes them stand out isn't the software they build. It's the culture they protect. When one of their employees was struggling, both personally and professionally, he wasn't fired. He wasn't isolated. Instead, his team rallied around him. They covered for him, supported him, helped him get back on his feet. Why? Because that's what their culture expects. It's not just policy, it's personal. Now contrast that with a place where fear rules, where layoffs are sudden, praise is rare, and leaders are more concerned with the quarterly report than the people who produce it. In these environments, cortisol, remember that stress hormone from Part 2, runs the show. Employees hoard credit. They hide mistakes. They play politics, not teamwork. Sinek writes, in weak cultures, people spend too much time protecting themselves from each other. In strong cultures, people protect each other from the outside. Let that sink in. Culture is either your armor or your enemy. And here's the truth. Culture is not what's written on the wall. It's not the mission statement. It's not the Friday pizza party. It's how people feel on Monday morning. Do they feel trusted? Do they feel heard? Do they feel safe enough to speak up? Or are they walking on eggshells? So how do leaders build healthy, contagious culture? Not by talking more, but by acting differently. Celebrate vulnerability. Model humility. Admit mistakes publicly. Reward teamwork. not just individual brilliance. Spend time where your people are, not just in meetings, because culture isn't built in a day. It's built every day, in moments, in decisions, in how we treat each other when no one's watching. Sinek shares the story of Bob Chapman, CEO of Barry Wemmeler, a manufacturing company. During the 2008 financial crisis, instead of laying off workers, Chapman asked every employee to take a few weeks of unpaid leave so no one would lose their job. The message was clear. We're in this together. We protect each other. That's what we do here. And the employees? They didn't just accept the policy. They went above and beyond. Some offered to take extra unpaid leave to help others. That's the power of a trust-first culture. You see, culture is like air. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And if it's toxic, people suffocate. But when it's full of trust, empathy, and purpose, people don't just work. They thrive. This is the leadership code. Up next, Part 4. Leadership in action. Real stories. Real sacrifice. Real service. Part 4. Leadership in action. Stories of sacrifice and service. When was the last time your boss took the hit for you? Not gave a speech, not sent an email, but truly took the fall. So you didn't have to. Simon Sinek argues that real leadership begins not when we rise, but when we're willing to sacrifice. And nowhere is this more visible than in the U.S. Marine Corps. There's a custom that's as powerful as any leadership seminar. When Marines eat together, junior soldiers eat first, and officers? They eat last. No one forces this. It's not in a manual. It's just what leaders do. Because in the military, leadership isn't about rank. It's about responsibility. Leaders are the ones who are willing to give up something of their own for the benefit of others, Sinek writes. In great organizations, leaders absorb pressure. They protect their people. They step in so others can breathe. In weak organizations, it's the opposite. When things go wrong, the people get blamed. The team gets cut. The staff is restructured. But real leadership shows up in the moments that cost us. Sinek tells the story of Bob Chapman again, the CEO who, during an economic downturn, refused to lay off his employees. Instead, he asked each one to take a few weeks of unpaid leave, sharing the burden across the team. No one was left behind. And what happened? Morale skyrocketed. Why? Because people saw their leaders were willing to sacrifice for them. That builds trust. That builds loyalty. That builds something money never can. And it's not just in corporations or combat zones. You see it in schools, in hospitals, in families, wherever a leader chooses to absorb the hit instead of pass it down. They're sending a clear message. You matter more than my comfort. And in return, people will go to the ends of the earth for that kind of leader. But here's the hard truth. You can't fake this. You can't put empathy on a PowerPoint and expect people to follow you. They don't follow your slides. They follow your actions. Do you listen when it's inconvenient? Do you give credit and take blame? Do you ask how people are? Not just what they've done. Leadership is measured by how much we're willing to give, not how much we can take. In the end, leaders eat last is not just a title. It's a principle. It's a way of living, a daily choice to go second, so someone else can go first. And when we lead like that, something beautiful happens. We stop managing, and we start inspiring. Thanks for listening. If you're finding value in this audiobook summary, please consider subscribing to the Leadership Code, where we help you lead with purpose and live with gratitude. In the final part, Part 5, we look at the modern challenges of leadership, digital speed, corporate greed, and why human-centered leaders are needed now more than ever. Part 5, the modern challenge, leading in the digital, profit-driven world. In a world obsessed with speed, scale, and quarterly growth, Is there still room for human leadership? Simon Sinek believes there has to be. Because the greatest threat to modern leadership isn't laziness or incompetence. It's abstraction. We've built systems that are faster than ever. We send emails across continents, track data in real time, outsource work with a click. But something's missing. People. We've scaled so far, so fast, that we've lost sight of the human beings who make it all happen. It's easier to make decisions about numbers than about people, Sinek says, because numbers don't cry when you lay them off. Oof. That one makes you pause. The danger isn't technology itself. It's when leaders use distance, physical or emotional, to justify inhuman choices. A CEO in a corner office may never meet the factory worker who just lost his job. An algorithm may decide a pay cut without ever seeing the single mom behind the screen. A dashboard shows productivity, but never shows burnout, stress, or lost purpose. That's abstraction. That's the enemy of empathy. So what does leadership look like in the modern world? It looks like proximity. It looks like slowing down, stepping out, sitting with your people. No matter how big your title or your company gets, it means making decisions that honor the long term, not just the next report. It means choosing people, even when it's not profitable today, because it builds something deeper for tomorrow. One of the most powerful examples in the book comes from Costco, a company that consistently treats its employees with dignity. They pay above average, offer strong benefits, invest in people over profit. And guess what? They outperform competitors in the long run. Because trust scales, loyalty scales, human leadership wins. Just not always in the short term. In our fast-moving, hyper-competitive world, the temptation is to act like a machine, to prioritize efficiency over empathy, to lead by metrics instead of mission. But machines don't inspire people. Leaders do. So here's the call to action. Don't chase legacy through power. Build it through people. Don't race ahead alone. Create a circle where others feel safe enough to follow. Because in the end, the cost of leadership is self-interest. And the reward? A culture, a legacy, a team that would do for you what Johnny Bravo did for them. Not because they have to, but because they trust you enough to try. Dear friends, leadership is not a title. It's a responsibility we all share. And the greatest leaders are those who put others first, build trust, and create belonging. If you found value in this journey through Leaders Eat Last, be sure to subscribe to the Leadership Code. We share powerful book summaries and leadership lessons every week, helping you grow, lead, and transform. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an insight. See you in the next episode. Until then, keep leading with purpose and living with gratitude.